Ocean blasting. So what are they doing?
So ocean blasting is otherwise known as seismic testing, which sounds very benign, but ocean blasting is what it is. It's companies will drag these giant guns, they're called, behind the boat. They can be like 30 guns, and they're pounding through the ocean water sound waves to penetrate deep into the seabed. So in order to go down 2 miles into the seafloor, you need to make a lot of noise. So these things are 250 decibels, and they're every 10 to 15 seconds. They blast out this noise, and it is literally like a bomb going off.
Yeah.
And sound travels very quickly in the ocean, and the whole ocean ecosystem has evolved around it being quiet.
Right.
You know, the ocean is a very quiet environment, and light doesn't penetrate. So the whole ecosystem is dependent on it being a quiet ocean, dark and quiet. So they communicate by sound, and they're very, very sensitive to sound.
Sure.
And so the idea of 250 decibels every 15 seconds in an environment where you can't say, heads up, everybody, put your, we're going to blast,
Right.
So out of nowhere, there's an entire war zone going off.
Like calling the great whites on a cell phone saying,
Right.
just giving you an
Yeah,
FYI,
yeah.
we're going to blast the ocean. Welcome, everyone, to the Whole Truth Podcast with John Levine, sponsored by Dean's Natural Food Markets, with 5 locations in Ocean, Shrewsbury, Basking Ridge, Chester, and now Metuchen. Today, sitting across from me, we have Cindy Zipf, Executive Director of Clean Ocean Action, and she's been at the helm since its inception in 1984. What we're going to do today is discuss some serious topics, but we're going to have some fun. Offshore drilling, ocean blasting, and pharmaceuticals. Welcome, Cindy. How are you?
Hi, John. Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm doing great. And a shout out to Dean's. They're wonderful, and they have the best stuff, and it's really great to see them growing because it means that people are getting the word and they're getting healthier and doing the right thing.
I totally agree. And he's passionate.
And he is, yes.
And he's sincere and authentic, and that's why he's on board.
Absolutely.
So, by the way, you know what? This is a coincidence, but in the morning I don't eat much. But this morning I was running out of the house, and I'm like, what am I going to eat? Would you like some seaweed? I mean, this is perfect.
Awesome.
This is Clean Ocean Action, and
Right?
I'm eating seaweed.
Seaweed's good for you.
Seaweed's good. Do you eat seaweed?
I do eat seaweed.
All right, there you go.
Yeah,
Well, we
okay.
can't eat it on the show, but I'll save some. This is for you.
Oh, thank you.
And I believe it's from Dean's. Organic roasted seaweed snack. A lot of iodine in
A
that.
lot of good comes from the ocean.
A lot of good. All right, so let's start here. Offshore drilling. I kind of have an idea what it is. What is the problem with it? Why is it so bad? Give me the whole skinny.
It's a nasty activity, a nasty industry from beginning to end. There's nothing good, healthy, or green about offshore drilling. The mere concept of drilling in the ocean just has to evoke, kind of the scenes that we've seen, sadly, around the globe where we have oil spills in the ocean that cause devastation to marine life. When something, no drilling is good drilling when it comes to fossil fuels, and we've got to get off our fossil fuel habit. But, particularly when you drill in the ocean and you make a spill, it goes everywhere. There's no way to contain it. It contaminates vast areas.
With the technology we have these days, they can't figure out a way to drill for oil without having it get into the ocean?
No.
That's a little bizarre to me.
Not only do they not can they not stop that from happening, but even the efforts that they've made to try to prevent the spills from happening, because that's one way, is to prevent them from happening in the first place, because once it gets out loose, it's out there. But those didn't work.
Right.
And even the rules and regulations that they tried to put in place were recently rescinded by the Trump administration. So even the rules that tried to prevent, after what happened with the BP oil spill,
Right.
they put in some rules and regulations to try to minimize the potential for that to happen again, and they were just rescinded. So the bottom line is that when it comes to offshore drilling and any kind of protection, it's to the whim of whatever political party is in office. So you can have rules that are trying to be better, and then all of a sudden they get weakened. So the best thing is to just not do it at all and to wean ourselves off of the fossil fuel development that we're doing now.
All right, so I'm a nature guy. I love nature, so I'm on board with the ocean. I love the ocean. I love swimming in it. I want to protect it. I'm with you. But I got to be fair here. So what are we supposed to do? If we don't drill in the ocean for oil, where are we supposed to get the oil?
Well, the whole idea is for us to wean ourselves off of oil in the first place.
Okay.
You know, that's the whole fossil fuel gig is kind of been, we made a choice. We went down the fossil fuel path, and we've caused destruction not only locally but globally. You know, the planet is dying because of our choice of energy, and we've got to get off of that kick. We've got to get off of fossil fuels, whether it's oil, whether it's natural gas. We really need to shift to renewable energies. Less energies is our top priority at Clean Ocean Action. We've got to really sink our efforts into energy conservation and efficiencies.
So, but what is the energy that we would use? So if we don't use oil or natural gas, what do we use exactly?
So the greenest energy of all is, again, the energy that you don't use. So many of us are wasting an enormous amount of energy. There was a study done a number of years ago by a company that found that if New Jerseyans, just us in this little state of ours,
New Jerseyans,
did what was off the shelf possible, and this is going back like about 10 years, just what was off the shelf possible for energy conservation and efficiency in our home. Not what was technologically feasible, which is like the next level, but just off the shelf stuff. You know, wrapping our pipes for our heaters, turning down our thermostats in the wintertime, and turning them up in the summertime. Just things that we could do.
Use less.
Using less, we could save enough energy to equal 8 to 12 medium power plants.
Wow.
That's 8 to 12 power plants like Oyster Creek, the nuclear power station down in the Barnegat Bay. That's also a bad energy choice and is destroying a lot of marine life down there. Now that's scheduled to come offline soon. But we should take responsibility. We should look at our planet and say, "Man, this is really a rare
You
gift."
would have a gripe with my wife because I like to sleep in the dark and the cold, and she's like always cold. She's like, "Oh, turn the heat up, turn the heat up."
Well, give her an extra blanket. Cuddle up. I don't know. We've got to save the planet.
You know what? There you go. That's a perfect thing. So that's better. Relations with your spouse. Cuddle up, warm up.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. It's win-win.
You don't even need to turn the heat up. You're right. That's a win-win. That's a nice trick I'm going to use.
All right. Well, there you go.
Hey, sweetheart, just cuddle up with me.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'll keep you warm.
Keep it warm. There you go.
I like
Share
it.
the heat.
Share the heat. So what do you have in store? So this is going on. You don't like the ocean drilling. That makes sense. What is Clean Ocean Action doing to try to stop this?
Well, it's our 35th year. Our birthday is on February 26th.
We got to get you out of a job.
Yes, that's been the whole idea, I have to say. That was a goal from the outset. And when we started back in 1984, there were 8 ocean dump sites. New Jersey was the ocean dumping capital of the world. We had dead and dying dolphins washing up.
We're always getting New York's trash.
Yeah, well, we were doing our fair share,
in more ways
too.
than one.
Yeah, but Jersey was doing some of its stuff. We had raw sewage discharging routinely out in the water.
Oh, yeah.
So, we were the nation's laughing stock when it came to the Jersey Shore, right? Everybody would giggle at the Jersey Shore, the idea, because it was, a lot of stuff on the beach and polluted water.
Yeah.
But we fought hard, and we worked to find solutions and implement alternatives, and now we're a premier coastal destination. But there are always those that stand at the water's edge and say, yeah, wow, this is this is a big space. They were like, why don't we put an oil rig out here? Or why don't we put an industrial complex out here? So we've been fighting for years to make the ocean hands off for a lot of the industrial, any kind of industrial harmful activity. So we've been gearing up our elected officials. The New Jersey congressional delegation, bipartisan since 1984, has been opposed to offshore drilling. There's no other state that has a stronger federal congressional delegation opposed to drilling. There's also our state. We Clean Ocean Action drafted up a bill. We sent it to Trenton that would empower us, New Jersey, to say no drilling within our waters, and don't even think about putting pipelines from New Jersey into the water. And it passed 99% of the elected officials, both parties united.
Good work.
Yeah.
Is there any drilling going on now in New Jersey water?
There is no drilling.
None.
Zip.
Partly thanks to you.
Yeah.
Giving you a little plug there.
Yeah.
When was the last time that there was?
There was some drilling of some holes in 1981, 82.
That's the last drilling that was in New Jersey waters? Was 1981?
Well, it was off New Jersey, never within New Jersey waters, because Jersey waters only goes out to officially out to 3 miles. These were done, well offshore, about a mile, about 100 miles offshore. They poked around out there and came up with blessedly nothing, but
nice.
But now they've got deeper technology, and they want to go. They want to get in there, and they want to start poking holes. But before they can start poking holes, they want to blast the ocean, which is the precursor. I know.
But you're not just New Jersey, right? Like we're New Jersey, but I have listeners that from all over the place.
Sure.
And there's the ocean's very big, obviously. So,
yes.
So are you protecting all of the ocean?
Well, we like to think so, because we like to be...
You're like Aquawoman.
There you go.
You're in the right studio to be Aquawoman.
I am. This is just fantastic.
We're in, A Share Universe podcast studio.
Fantastic
My
place.
man Ming Chen is a comic...
Genius.
Yes. So you are Aquawoman. You're protecting all of the ocean. All of it.
Yes.
So you're supporting other oceans, though.
So
seriously.
no, seriously. What the work that we do at Clean Ocean Action is often looked upon as the beacon, if you will, the gold star. So that's what we try to be, the gold star, and we try to get everybody to implement the actions that we take. For example, we wrote this bill, as I mentioned earlier, that would prohibit drilling in our waters and from our pipeline, and we did that so that now we can get every other state to do the same thing. If every other coastal state says you can't drill in our waters or have pipeline in our waters, then the oil industry is not going to be able to have the infrastructure it needs in order to go forward with offshore oil. So we can put a blue barrier for any kind of drilling. The oil companies would be very, very difficult and very expensive, because where would they bring their pipelines? Where would they bring the oil? Yeah. How would they get the oil out there? How would they get their industry out there? So we've blocked. And now New York just recently passed the law. Delaware passed the law. California did. Oregon's pending. There's a bunch of other states pending. So we try to be a national model.
If we educate people on these things, then you know what? Eventually, there will be no choice.
Yeah.
They'll
changing
have to,
the behavior is what we
changing
need to
the
do.
behavior.
Yep.
So ocean blasting.
Ooh.
We're blasting.
Oh, it's terrible.
I mean, I don't. What do we?
Yeah.
What are we blasting here?
So it's
Is that
really,
like someone with bad gas while they're swimming and it just?
Yeah, we wish. No, that'd be more organic. But
have you ever seen like if when I'm swimming in the ocean
really?
and I've had too much hummus?
No,
it's an ocean blast.
Yeah, well, I don't.
And
think
I'm
that's
telling
something I
you,
want to see.
sometimes there's fish floating around me. It's really bad.
I doubt it. But,
I'm just kidding.
Nice of you to fess up, though. Yeah. Some do pee in the sea and don't admit it, but it's nice.
Oh, I pee. You gotta pee in the sea. Seriously,
only fish are supposed to pee.
I mean, I'm a little lazy, so you just pee. Keep it to a number one.
That's why when in the summertime, the fecal contamination level at the shore goes way up at the coast. A
two.
When you
two?
fecal, just kind of.
Come on.
People.
That's not you out there, right?
No, that's not me.
Are you doing number one in the ocean?
No.
Be honest.
No.
You have to do number one in the ocean.
I can't.
Why?
I don't know. It's like a sacred place to me. It
is sacred, but like a number one is it just But no, listen, that's great. All right.
Right.
No number one for Cindy in the ocean.
No,
Is
try
that-
not. And, and when in the summertime, particularly, everybody try to hold back, because when everybody's peeing at the same time and
Ugh.
you've got concentrated people in the water,
Yeah. I keep it to a 1.
Yeah, well,
Not a
yeah,
2.
but even still. That,
And definitely not a 3. You know what a 3 is,
I
right?
have no idea.
It's a
but
1
I
and a
don't
2.
wanna know. Oh, my
It's
goodness.
kind of like a mix of. There's a 4 too. My kids teach.
Wow.
It's really bad. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
so we're
everything in moderation, I guess.
stop goofing around.
Yeah.
We're trying to
No,
be serious here.
yes.
Ocean blasting. So what are they doing?
So, ocean blasting is otherwise known as seismic testing, which sounds very benign, but ocean blasting is what it is. It's companies will drag these giant guns, they're called, behind the boat. They can be like 30 guns, and they're pounding through the ocean water sound waves to penetrate deep into the seabed. So in order to go down 2 miles into the seafloor, you need to make a lot of noise. So these things are 250 decibels, and they're every 10 to 15 seconds. They blast out this noise, and it is literally like a bomb going off.
Yeah.
And sound travels very quickly in the ocean, and the whole ocean ecosystem has evolved around it being quiet.
Right.
The ocean is a very quiet environment, and light doesn't penetrate. So the whole ecosystem is dependent on it being a quiet ocean, dark and quiet. So they communicate by sound, and they're very, very sensitive to sound.
Sure.
And so the idea of 250 decibels every 15 seconds in an environment where you can't say, heads up, everybody, put your, we're going to blast,
Right.
So out of nowhere, there's an entire war zone going off.
Calling
in
the great
ocean.
whites on a cell phone saying,
Right.
just giving you an
Yeah,
FYI,
yeah.
we're going to blast the ocean.
Yeah, you might want to get off. You might
Yeah.
want to go swim out.
What are they trying to do? Like, what's the purpose?
So that those sound waves pulsate deep into the earth, into the sediments, through the earth, into the rock.
Jeez.
And the sound waves that come back, or the echo that comes back, will kind of give them an indication of where the pockets of oil are. So it's a precursor
Wow.
to oil. So we start, the humans who are much more much less susceptible to noise impacts, we start getting hearing impaired at 90 decibels.
Wow.
So 250 to a marine ecosystem where they're very sensitive to sound is just devastating. And it does everything from kill marine life to scatter fish populations, so fishermen are at a loss, to maiming and harming mammals. And it can lead, as many people know, it can lead to whale strandings. It can blow out their ears. It can cause bleeding. It can cause, devastation. And it's not just the big marine life. There was a study done in Australia where they found that up to 60% of the zooplankton, that's the fish eggs and larvae and the very base of the food chain, that which all grows, was killed during seismic blasting activity. So we can wipe out whole populations.
What's the name of that study?
I will get you the name of the study.
We'll
link
put
it
that
to
up.
you. Yeah,
we'll put that
for
up
sure.
so people can actually read it and see it. So I made a little note.
You did,
The
okay.
study in, where was it, Australia?
Australia.
Australia. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy. So that's a lot of damage. My gosh.
A lot of damage. And the scary thing is that it can go on from Cape May to Cape Canaveral. So that vast area of ocean, and there's 5 companies that want to do it in the same place at the same time.
Okay, they want to do it. Is it going on?
It's going. Mr. Trump is absolutely expediting the whole operation. It was proposed under the Obama administration, to be fair, and we blasted him for putting it on the table.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Pun intended.
The entire Atlantic coast and beyond, put the full force of public outrage, and he pulled back and he said, "No, we're not going to drill in the Atlantic, and we're not going to do seismic testing." As soon as Trump got into office, he hit the undo button to that no. Categorical no, and he set the whole thing back in place, and now he is expediting. So there's only one signature that's required right now for that blasting to go forward.
Okay, but they're not doing it as we speak.
No, but it's imminent. The decision. I mean, that one thing that slowed it down was the government shutdown. That was probably the only good thing that happened out of the government shutdown,
Right.
was that the signature on those permits was delayed.
It's one signature away?
One signature. All 5 permits are one signature away.
Okay, so what's your plan to stop that?
So there is a large coalition of groups down in South Carolina that are suing to stop it from happening. The state of New Jersey joined that case.
Okay.
And most other coastal states have joined it. There's legislation that was just recently introduced by new Congressman Van Drew down in Cape May to kill those permits.
Nice.
Whether or not that's going to pass through Congress and get through the Senate and get to the president's desk. But it's an important message. It's an important message that Congress does not want this to move forward.
Right.
And for the first time, every governor on the entire East Coast is opposed. So, if the president was listening, he would understand that this is something that should not move forward. But he doesn't listen. He kowtows to the interests of big oil, and our ocean and all of the marine life is in severe danger right now.
Well, that's why we're fighting the good fight.
That's why we are fighting the good
Right
fight.
here. He's making friends all over the place, isn't he, Mr. Trump? My Lord. Everyone's happy with him. But that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. So,
Yeah.
okay, it's not happening now. But that sounds like nasty stuff.
Yeah, that's nasty stuff. And then after we get the seismic blasting, at the same time, another decision is pending, the oil drilling decision. So President Trump put 90% of U.S. waters on the table for offshore drilling. Never been done, ever, ever. He can take credit. He likes to take credit for doing stuff that nobody's ever done. Nobody put 90% of U.S. waters within 3 miles of people's beaches on the map. And now he had a public comment period, and now imminently, again, within weeks or days, the decision of that 90%, what is going to go under the gun? What areas? Is New Jersey going to be included? Is Florida? Is California? What is, are the blue states going to be on the list, but maybe not the red states? I don't know. But, he did say that they did rescind Florida after they came out with they did say, well, we're not really thinking about Florida. But again, these are decisions that are happening very soon that could have devastating consequences for generations to come.
You know what this comes down to with a lot of things? It comes down to being mindful of actually just stepping back and actually thinking about what we're doing for a second, instead of just going fast and just throwing plastic water bottles all over the place and peeing in the ocean. And just, I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, like, just literally just thinking about it and saying to yourself, like, hey, if I, have my heat at, 67 degrees compared to 69 degrees, every little bit is gonna make a difference. If I,
because there's 8 million of us,
cuddle up with my spouse and I, have it 2 degrees less.
Yeah.
Each house that does that, right?
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge.
And then this stuff doesn't have to be happening.
Right.
You just don't have to get to the point where we're blasting the. I mean, that's horrible. I mean, you're blasting the ocean with seismic waves and killing marine life and destroying our planet.
Right.
Give me a couple things that people could do that want to take action other than what we just said. Like, what could people do that themselves to conserve energy?
It's so fun to think about it because, you can really make it a family challenge. You can say, look at your energy bill and see what it is, and then make it a challenge to see how low you can go. And it's simple things. Like you said, just a couple degrees. You don't need to go crazy. Put a sweater on, put the heat down, put it up a little bit. And then you can get, sign up with your energy company to be on a smart system so that, they are able to, lower during peak energy demands. They can kind of lower your temperature a little bit in your house. Do you need to keep your house at, 70 degrees in the summertime when you're not in it? I mean, if you're going to work, you shouldn't be using very much energy at all when you're not in the house.
I think that smart system is a big problem. I'm just telling you. With the EMFs, I don't love that.
Well, let's have a conversation about that.
That's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
I don't love the
Yeah,
smart system.
I get it.
That's
but
a whole another ball of wax.
Well, we can talk. There's there's new technologies that can be used that you can use your own phone to manage your energy system. But, turning lights off, a lot of lights off, that's an easy one. You can, for your hot water heater, do you need it to be scalding hot when you don't need your water to be scalding hot. Turn your water heater down a little bit. You'd be amazed how much energy that takes and how much you could save. And that's the big thing, is that when you're saving energy and saving the planet, you're also saving your money in your wallet.
Yeah, this is kind of like Captain Obvious type stuff, but I just went to Colorado for 5 days.
Nice.
And, of course, I don't want to pay for heat when I'm not using it. So I don't have a smart system, but I just went to the box and I just reduced it. It's really not that hard.
No.
You're saving yourself money. You're saving energy. It's a win-win-win.
So easy.
And, come on.
So easy. And because
just walk over there and just hit the button down, for God's sakes.
Exactly.
You don't need a smart system.
Exactly.
You can if you want, but it's just, come on.
Just do it yourself if you want to. But if you forget all the time, or you don't want to have to deal with that, and you can have these systems on your heating system where you put in the time. You say between 6 and 7 o'clock, it's going to be this degrees, and between, when I leave for work, I'm going to, turn it down. You can set it your own. You can set it yourself as well. But, we've got to stop this sense of entitlement, that whatever we want, we should be able to do, because the planet cannot sustain it. I just saw something the other day in the paper that monarch butterflies, the Western population, looks like it's going extinct. It's down 85%.
They're beautiful.
That's on us. That's on us. That's on climate change. You're looking at the ocean about, the plastics and everything. That's on us. It
is. Yeah, it is.
And we just, like you said, that's so important, what you're saying about being mindful. Think about what you're doing. Look at your trash. Just have a little family science project where you look at how much trash you're putting out and what you could be doing in terms of alternatives to not having that much trash.
I knew you were serious when you walked into the studio, and we, it's okay. We have to be authentic. Yeah. So people should know this. So we offered you some water, and it was in plastic. Mm-hmm. Which, it happens, right? So
sure.
we're all learning.
So we're all learning, absolutely.
And you said, no, thank you. That was it. And you decided you're not going to drink water out of the plastic.
Not that thirsty.
Now, nobody knew that until I just brought it up.
Right.
But you are taking action. You're not just talking about it. You're
it's a matter of choice.
You're actually doing it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of choice.
But good for you.
It's not a big deal.
Good
we
for
can
you.
all do it. And, kids are really into this kind of stuff now,
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always about the kids. Because they're the future. If you get the kids excited about this stuff, they'll take it and run with it.
Yeah.
So.
That's the hope.
Yep. All right, Smarty Pants. Are you ready for some ocean trivia?
Oh, my gosh. Yikes.
Because if you get any wrong... If you get any wrong, you're going to have to do the Whole Truth podcast cartwheels in here.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you do cartwheels?
Right. I can, but I'm not. This is such an amazing space.
The pressure is on. Do not knock off any of these beautiful signs in the studio. No, so you better get these right. The largest mammal in the ocean is a what?
Blue whale.
Oh, my. All right, there you go. That was an easy one.
That was a very easy one.
If John Levine could be one sea creature in the world, what would he be?
Well, how can I get that one wrong? Let me count the ways.
I'll give you a little hint.
All right.
I don't know much of a hint that is. I don't know what it is.
Just you're gazing up into a stargazer?
Here is another hint. Here's another hint.
Teeth? Shark? Tooth? Toothfish?
Tooth?
Fish?
Toothfish. You're wrong. You ran out of time.
Sorry.
That's wrong. A narwhal.
Oh,
I would be a
Like
narwhal.
that.
I was trying. I want you to do cartwheels. I don't want you to get all of them right.
I don't think Ming will let me do that.
I think he will let you do it. See, he's got the thumbs up.
Right.
I would be a narwhal. How cool are those narwhals? They're whales, right? In the Arctic.
They are amazing.
How did you not know that I would be a narwhal?
Well,
that's wrong.
Well,
That's wrong.
I know,
so I'm putting an X. One wrong.
All right. There's just a billion species to choose from.
There is.
And you're pointing at your tooth, and there's toothfish, and then you were looking up like a stargazer.
But
those are both animals, yes.
But the narwhal, that's a tooth, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Isn't that incredible? That's a tooth. That's incredible. There's some amazing sea creatures out there.
That is one of the things that inspires me so much about the ocean. One group in particular, octopi, are just, to me, fascinating.
Yeah, and the ones that get like really deep, dark, like the lanternfish.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they
incredible.
have little hanging lights on them. How cool is that?
It's very
Nature
cool.
is really amazing, and the ocean has so much richness, and we're just destroying it.
It is cool. All right, don't get me off track here.
All right, sorry. I'm a quiz.
All right, we got 5. The deepest known area that we know of in the ocean is where and what?
It's a trench.
It is a trench. I'll give you another hint. He used to be a reliever. The best reliever in Yankees history, in baseball history, was blank Rivera. The best reliever in Major League history was.
Do you have a non-sports?
Was blank Rivera.
Do you have a non-sports?
Oh, come on! You're in New Jersey. How do you not know blank Rivera? The best reliever in Major League history, Mariano Rivera. So the answer is the Mariana Trench.
Yes.
That's 2 wrong.
Oh, come on. I got half right. It was a trench.
That's wrong.
Right.
That's wrong. True or false? We have explored less than 5% of the ocean.
Explored in what way? How much?
I'm not sure. I just looked it up on Google.
That, I think, is... Knowing what I know about what the Navy has done, that's false.
I have it as true.
Okay, well.
But you know your stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you right now that if you say it's false and you know stuff about the Navy and what they've done,
they are mapping everything.
I'm gonna say that was correct.
Okay.
Now I have that down as true that it's only been about 5%. But
well, we haven't explored and that's why I asked the word explore. We're mapping the entire ocean. So to me, that's some exploration. But if we, have we looked to find species and ecosystems and what's living out there? And no, absolutely not. And to truly understand it, I would say that would be a factual statement that we really don't know what life is there and how it all works together. But
ocean's big.
It is huge.
Which gets me to the next question.
All right.
True or false? 80% of the oxygen we breathe is produced by the ocean.
Okay, so my numbers are about 70%.
Ooh, you are good.
Yeah.
No, you are good because it is 70%.
Yeah.
It is 70% of oxygen is produced by the ocean. It is not 80%. You got that right.
Thank you.
I tried to trick you.
Well.
All right, you're nailing it. That was good.
But
you got 2 wrong.
I know.
But those were very hard. How would you know I was
Well, the Mariana Trench I should have gotten because I knew it was a trench. I just forgot which one.
But that's half right.
But did you know, so how do you know that we have a canyon in our ocean?
This is diversion. This is diversion to try to get me to not remember that you have to do cartwheels on my show.
No, we do. So what's fabulous about the Jersey Shore? The ocean off the Jersey Shore?
You got to tell me.
All right.
Shipwrecks. A lot of shipwrecks.
A lot of shipwrecks. We've had, a lot of people were coming here and we've lost a lot. But the coolest thing from a natural, to me anyway, is a couple things. One is we have the coolest mixing of waters. We have the water that comes up from the south, the nice warm water that comes up from the south, and you know the name of that, right?
Warm water?
Warm water. The water that comes up from the Caribbean, that comes up in a river. There's a big river out in the ocean that brings warm water.
Oh, now you put me to task. Is it warm because I
It's a great song. From California to the Gulf Stream waters.
So what is...
the Gulf Stream is
Gulf Stream?
Gulf Stream is a beautiful, warm...
You have a nice voice, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That was nice.
Wow. Thank goodness. It would have been awful if it was
Gulf
scaring
Stream.
people away. The
All
Gulf
right.
Stream, that's an amazing river of water that comes up from the Caribbean, which makes our area temperate and, brings up all those species from the
That's cool.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So the mix of the Gulf Stream coming up from the Caribbean.
And then we have another, in the wintertime, more the Labrador Current comes down.
I've never heard of that. Labrador
The
Current?
Labrador Current, which is a river of water that comes down in the wintertime that the seals and the winter species kind of ride down our area. So we get cold water species and warm water species. So we have over 33 whales and dolphins, cetaceans, that visit the Jersey Shore at some point during the year, during migrations and things. And we have 5 species of sea turtles. There's only 7 on the planet.
Is that
we have
really?
5 of them come off
I
of
will
the
tell you a
Jersey
little
Shore.
story.
Yeah.
So I used to do triathlons, and I used to go out early in the morning. I don't know, it was like 5 in the morning or something. We'd be out in the middle of the ocean. Talk about wacko. Yeah, talk
Good
about
for you.
That's stupid.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's not so smart. I don't know.
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
It was early. It was really early. And we were out there, and you can hear a pin drop. It's nothing going on. It's just me and a couple other nutzos swimming back.
Splashing around.
Yeah. And out of the blue, 5, 6 dolphins just up and out of the water.
My God.
It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. And you know,
Lucky
there was
you.
I was so lucky. And you didn't have a chance to even react because like you didn't even know they were there. Just all of a sudden, just like it just came right out of the water. And they were going right around us. And it was just like...
Oh, my God.
And I wasn't scared. Like, it wasn't like, you know, I saw a fin or something and I flipped out. You knew it was dolphins and they were just playing around and following us and checking us out. And it was, like, incredible.
Well,
it really
see,
was.
that's why you were out there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
It was
They
awesome.
were like, that's extraordinary.
It made
that's
my-
an extraordinary experience.
Yeah, and I have a picture, not of the dolphins, but I have a picture somewhere on Facebook of that morning. Wow. I'll have to send it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's special.
It was very special.
You know?
It wasn't because it wasn't like I was there. It's different. Like it's not like you're watching the dolphins from
Right.
like the beach or
Right.
watching them.
No, they're in your space. They're
Oh,
checking you out.
I'm in their space.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were checking you out. They're like, wow, who are these
were
guys
checking
splashing
me.
around out there?
Unbelievable.
That's so fun. Wow.
Yeah.
And
So-
it's not like you go places now and the dolphins are kind of trained to come and see you. And so it's
No,
just
wild.
a completely natural experience.
Absolutely.
They had some kind of vibe. They wanted to check it out.
I like it.
Nice.
It worked for me. I was very happy.
Oh, wow, that's
I'm telling-
special.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
fantastic.
No, it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible.
All right,
So
well-
let's get into the pharmaceuticals, though. All right. So that's the last thing. So pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
There's pharmaceutical drugs in the ocean, and it's
Yeah,
like-
well, pharmaceuticals, some people say chemicals bring good things to life, and there are pharmaceuticals that have really changed our species' ability and a lot of other species to thrive and otherwise,
with pharmaceuticals.
yeah. I mean, you look at the antibiotics, you look at,
Right.
I mean, we overuse them and now we're in trouble for that.
Right.
So we've got problems because of them, but they have brought us a more healthy or more livable. We've solved some of our health issues.
Pros and cons.
Yeah,
There's always pros and cons.
but
Oh.
we've gone overboard for sure, as usual. We're that species that is not, as you say, not mindful about what we do, and so we've gone overboard because there's so many of us.
Well, I think the problem with a lot of things is I think humans are always after more. It's more. And I think we're built like that, but it's when you get to that more, and you overuse pharmaceuticals, when you overeat, when you use too much
Overuse
plastic, when you use
energy.
too much energy, it becomes fast and more. So again, I think it comes down to mindful, right? Like use it when you need to use it. Because I'm not big in the pharmaceuticals, but when you need them, certainly you need them. Like
Sure.
there's
Look
some.
at that's what's happening with the measles in Oregon, is it, or Washington State with
There's a measles outbreak. Yeah, that's a whole nother ballgame.
a whole nother ballgame. But they are helpful, and we need to use them wisely, and we need to manage it. We need to take responsibility for our stuff. You
Yes.
know, that's the bottom line.
So the oceans are full of pharmaceuticals.
Getting there.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, closer to populations you get, the higher the concentrations are of the pharmaceuticals.
So if I have pharmaceutical drugs,
Mm-hmm.
other than throwing them in the toilet and flushing them, or putting them in the sink and putting what?
Yeah.
No, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Now, but like I have a whole bunch of stuff. Like I've had back problems. I've had some surgeries. So I've had, I don't take drugs unless I absolutely need them. So I've got like God knows what, like Vicodin and stuff that. What do I do with it?
So there are, prescription drug take-back days that you can find out about. In fact, the National Prescription Drop Take-Back Day is April 27th. So you can, April 27th. So you can look in your local town and see if they've got a drop-off.
That's awesome. That
Yep.
in April 27th across the country?
National Day.
That's cool.
Yep.
Okay, so all right, where do I go?
So you have to contact your town and see if they're having one, and if not, you can go on the website, Google it, search for the closest one to you. But a lot of towns now are having these, especially
National Take Back Day?
Yeah, prescription drug take back days.
That's
yes.
great.
Yeah, it is great.
But what do they do with it though? So I'm going to give it to the
you're
town.
giving it to the cops. Is what you're doing. It's in concert with law enforcement. So
Okay.
and then they take and manage it.
It's just a matter of like, what are they doing with it? Because it's everything's got to end up somewhere. So
Well,
I'm happy to give it to them, but like,
yes.
where's it
Yeah.
going?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not, but they are required to. I don't know if they take it to an incinerator, if
Yeah.
they take it to, but they're not flushing it down the toilet. I can, they're managing it in a much better way because that's part of the purpose. There's also ways to manage your drugs in a way that makes them, unusable by anybody else. And that is, you take them and you put them in used coffee grounds, and you then put them in a. It's a use of one of the many plastic bags that you probably get at the store for your bread or for your, so many things are now wrapped in plastic bags. You don't have to buy special Ziploc bags, but just a plastic bag. You can put your coffee grounds in there, put your drugs in there, and then tie them up and put them in the garbage. So they go into a landfill. Not that putting them in a landfill is great either, but at least at a landfill, they do have leachate collection systems. So
Right.
if it does get into the water, they have leachate collection systems which treat that leachate so that it doesn't, wind up running into our waterways.
Right.
But flushing them down to the toilet is really a bad way to go. And the other interesting thing is that's one source of the pharmaceuticals. The other source is just passing through our bodies. We don't use it all necessarily, all the chemicals.
Oh, right.
that
So
we
like
press
when
it.
right.
So when you're peeing in the sea, as you talked about earlier, you may be sharing,
I don't take many drugs.
I didn't think so.
It's usually dark leafy greens, but that's a good point. I know, it's a good point. Didn't even think about that. It's the stuff that when you go to the bathroom, there's obviously pharmaceutical. There's remnants of whatever you're taking.
So, for example, and again, we have a great PhD scientist on staff, Swarna Mutri-Christian, and she's been looking into wastewater for she's had 10 years of experience in wastewater management. And there was a study done by Columbia University on the Hudson River, and there were 16 pharmaceutical compounds found in the river, including acetaminophen, which is not even something everybody.
Charcoal filter, people. Get a charcoal
you
filter,
go.
okay? You don't, I get laughed at because I don't drink tap water. Okay, laugh now.
Mm-hmm.
It's 16, you said?
16 different pharmaceutical compounds in the Hudson River at potentially unsafe levels, toxic to fish and aquatic organisms.
Yeah, not good.
So, and we have wastewater treatment plants, right? That's where we flush the toilet. It all goes to a wastewater treatment plant. They treat it for the fecal material. They treat it to make sure that it's not, pathogenenic or to a level, but they're not screening out for those pharmaceuticals. So they just discharge. And, it's, 45 billion gallons a year just in New Jersey alone, just the Jersey Shore. That's the amount of water from the wastewater treatment plants that gets out into the ocean. So these are, sources of these drugs that we use. And it marine life is very, very sensitive,
Yeah. I have another story for you.
Okay.
I was doing another triathlon. I was signed up to do an Ironman, New Jersey, New York Ironman, the first and only one, and the only one because it was a disaster. It was 2011 or 2012. I'm all ready. I trained like crazy to do this crazy race. And about a day and a half before, there was raw sewage from Westchester. And I'm talking like gazillions of gallons. I'm not talking about a little bit. We're talking raw sewage leaked into the Hudson River. Look it up. It's all over. It was all over the news. And I'm like flipping out because I just trained my butt off to do this Ironman. And my wife's looking at me and she's like, "You're not doing this." I'm like, "I gotta." I'm like, I just trained. I'm like, how do I not do a race that I just trained, I don't know, 8-9 months for? And luckily, I actually found, it cost me a little bit of money, but I found one in Louisville a week later and decided not to do it. But the thought of all that raw sewage and and it's funny because the World Health Organization, I don't know how you feel about them, but they tested it and said it was okay, and the event went on. So there was an Ironman 1 year, and then that was it. I don't buy it, to be honest with you, and I didn't want to be swimming in that with a couple turds behind my ear. But sorry.
No, it's true. But I'm going to tell you something that is equally, so those incidents where you have a failure at the sewage treatment plant and it winds up doing a big dump, if you will. But, in the metropolitan New York and New Jersey area, a tenth of an inch or a quarter of an inch of rain sends the entire sewage system into overload, and they discharge raw into the ocean, into the rivers, into the Hudson River, the Passaic River, so every Newark.
Raw, untreated.
Untreated.
So if it rains, how much?
Well, it depends on the area. Some as little as a tenth of an inch, but as much of a quarter of an inch. So not a lot. And we've had a lot of rain.
And there's an overflow of raw sewage that goes
from all 5 boroughs of New York and New Jersey. So because, these sewage treatment systems, we're lucky to have even those. But when they first started settling this area, right, what did you do with the quote unquote night soil? They dumped it in the street. They didn't really have any sewage treatment. So then people started getting sick. So they started creating gutters, and then it was in the gutters, and then they built underground pipeline systems. And the goal was just to get it to the local waterway, because that was the management system.
Right.
So then as the cities grew and grew and they had more and more sewage, people started getting sick or dying because they were eating the shellfish, the oysters and the clams from the area. And so they said, we have to do something about all this raw sewage. So they built sewage treatment plants. But the sewage treatment plants were very small. And then you have millions and millions of people now living in these areas. And the sewage treatment plants cannot handle the capacity because there's just one pipe. That was the problem. As they built out the cities, they built a pipe for the sewage.
If we stop putting so much food in our pipe, you won't have it come out the other pipe. So it comes down to being mindful and not being greedy and having more.
Yeah, well.
So it always comes down to the same thing. You don't need as many pharmaceuticals as you think you do. Sometimes you do, but if through lifestyle changes, you'll probably...
There you go.
You won't take as many pharmaceutical drugs.
Yep.
When needed, yes. If you overeat, it goes in one pipe, goes out another pipe, and then we're piping all over the place. But it's being mindful, seriously.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
It always comes down to the same.
Down to that.
Comes down to it's not always about more, and it's not always about fast. It does not have to be fast and more, fast and more. Think about it.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
And
chew your food. You'll go to the bathroom less. I mean it.
Wow.
I mean, it sounds kind of nasty, but it's true. And you'll feel better too.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm human. I do the same thing. Like, I was just on vacation and I didn't eat the way I wanted to eat. But if you eat less and you just get the right amount of nutrients, you'll go to the bathroom maybe once a day. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go to the bathroom 4 times a day. You don't need to stuff your face, you know what I mean? But you're using less. Yes. And it works. It's healthier too. So
use less. That's if there's one thing that anybody takes from this program or is just use less. Just use less of everything.
I think so.
Yeah. That's a good point.
What you're doing is fantastic. Keep it up. I know your mission. I've read several things, and you want to be out of a job. You've been saying that for a long time. I'm going to help get you out of a job.
Oh, cool.
With this podcast, let's get the ocean as clean as possible and get you...
And locked in the cleanness. We were trying to get this, locked in because we cannot have a situation where we have that pendulum swinging. We want to lock it in so that future generations don't have to worry about it.
I want to just see you relaxed doing cartwheels on the Jersey Shore.
I'd love to.
And that's what I want to see you
That's great.
So good work. Keep it up.
Thank you.
I'm in this fight with you. And for now, listen, people, cuddle up and conserve energy. and stop being so greedy. Just less is more.
Less is more.
Less is more. Okay, Cindy Zipf,
Absolutely.
Clean Ocean Action, and that is a wrap. Adios, amigos.